Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and it is, well, over here on the East Coast, it is now Saturday, September the 29th, 2018. It is, however, still the 28th over where BZ is for at least a couple more hours.
Yep.
And I'm with BZ Rieger and Lisa Flamino Rush back for we're getting a third one in tonight. Feel very productive today. And we're going to talk about creation nudges, formulating and materialating. BZ made a new word, and I like that. I do. I like that because we were already playing around with replacing manifest with materialize. And so I kind of like that, materialating. So talk to us about this, BZ. I know I have some thoughts and feelings about it too, but this was your idea. So I want to hear what you have to say first.
So when this came through for me, it's how do I say it? So it's kind of a specific track in the realm of nudges and being and doing. So creation nudges in this sense is where so maybe let me back up for a minute. There was standing room only to come to this planet at this moment, these moments of now, for a lot of wonderful, expansive, delicious reasons. Not the least of which is the huge transformation, metamorphosis, you could call it lots of different things, evolution, up jump, to all the beings, not only on this planet, but in all of sources, multiple. And so we're talking just about the beings on this planet for right now, came in with a lot of rules that they agreed, joyously wanted to, couldn't wait to get down here, have been training before and training now to come in, missions, and then also soul purposes from their whole the whole plan that they have for the trajectory of their soul and their path of each unique soul on that. And so this is what this is referring to. This is referring to, you could kind of lay on the table of this creation nudges as it relates to specifically those roles, those missions, and the soul purposes. And more and more and more people are noticing their nudges. They're actually they're realizing, if they use the word nudges, and they're realizing this, if whatever word they use, that nudges is really just kind of a shorthand for that rich, expansive, all-encompassing conversation, partnership, and holding could be another way you could put in there, of you and you. And so the creation nudges, what they're doing is, hang on one second. Sorry. they're bubbling up within you. So there's a lot of in creation, when you're creating things, you're producing things. You're you could say, I'll simplify, you could say you're having an idea, or you get a thought, I'm supposed to or want to or nudge to do X, Y, or Z, that it relates to maybe a large piece of the puzzle of what you're supposed to be doing, or a small piece, or something that's setting you up to have an experience that lets you, kind of leapfrog down, because you're integrating stuff and you're holding pieces together and stuff. So what I was nudged to play with is that feeling of those bubbling up, and then how to how to play with them, how to then, what did I call the word? Materialating them. Yeah. So formulating. So when something is bubbling in you, right, you could be saying you're formulating a plan, or maybe, just to use an example, if you were going to do create an image, or again, with any kind of different medium that you would think about, creating a painting or creating a photograph, or all sorts of things, right? So you're formulating kind of that creativity and that spark and that inspiration, and you want to, what you're formulating to is what it is that you want to invoke with that. What is the energetic frequency and envelope that you want to create in that? And at the same time that you're formulating it, that's why the word came out the way it did, you're materialating it as well. So you're actually, as you're formulating, you're building it on a frequential level, and it actually already is in form. It's already giving out what that intention is already, and you're then materialating. So you're pulling it into various. Okay, well that makes sense. So you're formulating into different dimensions of materialization. So that, I guess that's what materialating is. And so it's different. So as you have different higher frequencies and different higher dimensions, there is, again, very linear placeholder word, but there is more luminescence, more transparentness to the solidness of something. Does that make sense? And I just want to change my thing, because I think my phone I'm freezing. Am I frozen?
No, you're not frozen.
Okay. Well, I'm going to make
you were skipping around just a little bit, so, but you weren't completely frozen.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully this will be seamlessly, and then I won't. Okay. So, do you want to jump in with something?
Well, it was bringing something forward for me, just an example of what you're speaking of that I could relate to. Actually, again, to another conversation that we've had, the last one, when I spoke in regards to my calling Lisa forth and mm-hmm. Lisa calling me forth. I can very clearly see where my standing in the backyard on the astrological new year in 2014 and putting this, my desire into the universe to create community. Although I wanted community, I was not where I think physically or even emotionally or any of those sorts of things that I was quite ready for that. And so my soul, my higher guidance, actually helped me materialize the next best thing, which turned out to be the campfire group. And that community began in that fashion. And it was so for me, I could, it feels like that's what I was doing without realizing it or anything like that. But that's what you're describing for me.
Yeah, you're materialating.
Right. I was materialating. I didn't even know it, but that's part, for me, that's part and parcel of the fact that we are all creators, and we always have been. It's not because I've heard this, some people saying we're not becoming creators. No, you're right. We are not becoming creators. We always have been.
That's right.
And we just
get over it.
Well, and we just weren't paying attention to what we were creating. That's the other. Yeah. And so now get over it, because.
Well, the materialating, you could say, is it's where your multidimensionality is showing in the materialization of things. Because it's on different levels, and you can see it, and it has, it's not in no form, but it is in form, yet it is not an embodiment of its actual most solid materialized
right
form.
That's what I've you've referred to in other videos as the creating it and then pulling it into the physical.
Yes.
That's what I equate that to.
Yes, absolutely. And and because you're multidimensional, so you're pulling it into different dimensions.
Yes.
And the frequency of those. And so you could say, well, yeah, you can look, it has the components, the frequency, it's in the frequency bandwidth of something that's 7, 8, 9th dimension, right? And then as you're materialating it, right, because different aspects, or all of you, because you're holding, right, are you're then materialating it into other of those dimensions as well. Because you remember, you're formulating, so you're since you're continually creating, it's doesn't take full form, because it's always
it's always in process, sort of.
Say that again.
It's always in process.
Yes.
Like it's just a constant evolving, never-ending
creation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for this, anyways, the creation nudges that relates specifically to that expansion point of where you are in these moments and what you came to do. So, like I said, I gave the example of if you're formulating your creation and your inspiration points and the intention of the energetic envelope and all that around a painting or some kind of art or something, photograph, whatever. Because that's one of the ways that you have been nudged to, with a creation nudge, inspired to create and accomplish things that will tie into, send forth the different components of one aspect of one of your missions. Does that make sense? So from a very base linear placeholder, where you could say that you had jobs and missions and ops and specific tasks to create and to accomplish when you came here. And these creation nudges are all part and parcel of those different things. So if you, one of the ops that you're on is to gather other beings in and transmit frequencies and expansion node points within those beings that you come into contact with. And some of your skills, some of your resonance that you gravitate to certain things because you like to do certain things, and it's not only just in this body but others, that you're using that, and the creationist comes in. So again, remember the nudge, the way I hold it is that it's a short euphemism for I got a nudge and I followed it, but it's what you're really saying is a shorthand for I had the conversation. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at this part of my mission and this op I need to go on, and I was thinking I would do this, and okay, well that's great. So you're having a conversation. I mean, your team and you, which is all you, is having these conversations and strategizing, right? And formulating the plan, formulating so it's a formulating of all the different components, things that need to be done, that need to be carried out. Formulating, so intersection of where your creativity is, where your strengths are, where your abilities lay, formulating in where your training was, and certain the piece of your role in this thing, because remember, we're all in this together, so we all have different parts, right? So that's what the formulating is. And then the materialating kind of is coming in the part, because since you're multidimensional and you think you're going to sleep at night and you wake up tired and you're going, wow, you're actually materialating this in a meeting, or maybe you're out doing prototypes or whatever it is. So that's happening as well, and then you're then bringing it to fruition. So this is a very large conversation, because now we're getting into beyond just the nudges and that, but the roles, and because the real fun is, the way I hold it, is starting, and we got a lot of fun to do. So
well, BZ, I want to, because I was nudged a moment ago to say something, or to ask you something about this, because we've had this conversation before, that there are those like me who don't hold some of this in the same way. And I don't want, I guess what I'm saying is that what I've come to know for myself now is that sometimes it's not, it's in some cases it's so seamless for folks that you think you're missing something. Because I know I did. I walked around thinking I was missing something for a very, very, very long time. And then until finally I realized that, well, wait a minute. No, I'm not missing anything. For me, it turned out to be something very seamless, to the point where I've now demanded that it be more linear for me, so I can, and quite frankly, I have that capability and it's working for me. But I wanted to say that, because I know I'm not the only one that has had that. There's no way that could be. And so just to share that with folks, because I heard people talking like the two of you have, about your guidance system and getting these, and I get nudges too, but not in the way I was perceiving that the two of you were getting them. And that's why I just wanted to reiterate that you may, speaking to someone who's joined our energetic envelope. And because I feel you, it's feeling the same way I have, in that, well, I don't get any of that. So I must be doing something wrong, or not doing it right, or whatever. And I guess what I'm inviting you to do is look a little deeper and see if, because I finally was looking back at some things in my life over my course of time, and I could start to see where it was just very seamless for, I don't know. It's like it's just always been there. And I thought it was something else, intelligence, or, whatever. You just think it's a linear thing, that it's just a skill you developed or whatever. That was where I was at with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it is. It's not that I'm holding it differently. It's just, it didn't.
We were looking for one thing. It's like the example of my mic, right? We were outside doing the other shows, and we took a break because it was getting cold. I said, bring everything in, and I was carrying things in different loads, and I set the mic down on the chair, and then I was getting ready. I was saying, oh, well, where's my mic? So I'm looking around for my mic. Walk past the chair. I'm looking. No, that's not it, and kept going, right? Yes, it's the mic, but I was looking for the one that I was using before, and that was not the mic. So no, I haven't found the mic yet. Right. Yet it's the mic. You know what I mean? So
right.
And I just used it 5 minutes ago. But because my brain was on the mic, which is the big thing, and this that, and the other thing. So it really, that's a really good metaphor for what you're talking about, is that right. We think it's something, and we're saying, no, it's going to show up like this. I know it is, because so-and-so is, and so is. That's why comparing, is going to always disappoint you, because you're so fantastic and nobody's got what you've got.
No, exactly.
So you've been looking for a long time because it's not the right mic.
No, exactly correct. And that's why because I could feel someone having that thing that I know I have had,
right,
as you were speaking. And so I didn't want it to go all the way past.
Yeah. And I want to put up one, I want to put in another thing, a couple things here. So one is, you had said something, well, I'm waiting for my nudges, and I can see and hear and experience Lisa and BC talking about their nudges and going on, etc. And part of that, we dictate, each one of us dictates that by our commitment to and partaking in that conversation, which, remember, a nudge is a conversation, whether you hold it there, and as you get more experience, and whatever you call it, but that's what I use, you'll see that it is a conversation. And so play with this for a moment. I'm just going to hold it linear for a minute. So you've got your team, and they're supporting you. They're your base team, and they're sending you out. You've all agreed you're going out on this project, or this mission, or this op, or you can hold it in different ways. But there's a few testing runs to make sure that you got enough lung capacity, or you're ready to do, or you're trained a certain move you have to do. Right. Okay. And so you get these nudges, which are these, let's test this, and you're not listening. So they might be going, breaker, can you hear me? Hello? All right, come back now. Hey. I'm not sure it's working.
Wait, is that anything like, is this thing on?
Yeah. Right. So, but because.
Wait a minute, now you done something to your microphone.
So it doesn't like me tapping it. I'm sorry. Because our team is not linear, No?
It's not the microphone. Let me just,
Yeah, it's the energy thing.
it's something to do with our voices and the way that the mics, the different mics pick up our voices. So speak loudly for a moment and it'll come back.
Okay. I forgot what I was saying.
Shit. Not to mention, we can't hear you anyway.
Hang on. Well, that's probably a good thing. Okay. Is this thing on? Right. So okay.
It's a little better.
So you're out and you're getting these, these kind of the testing or prep, we'll say prep runs, right? Prep nudges. So, oh, I know. Okay. So luckily our team and all the rest of us, which is our team, right, is not so not at all ensconced in the linear part, which this part of us is. So they don't go, Jesus Christ, what are you doing, man? I mean, you got a job to do and get with it, right? Know that. It's like, okay, well, let's step back a little bit, as we do in agility, is let's break this down a little bit more. So, and back chain things together. So instead of doing a run of, maybe 5 jumps, a hoop, and a tunnel, right, we back chain a little to see, we build confidence on the first 2 jumps and lots of reward and lots of fun on that, and then realize that we can drive forward to do the different things. So that's how it's held. And because until, and we talked about this another night recently, the linear aspect of you is in charge of the linear aspect of you until you have the expansion and you realize that, first of all, you could say the soul of you is in charge and fully in command of, your organic human brain and all of that, which is all changing to accommodate that. Another way would then be that there's a holing of you. And so, yes, the real whole part of you now, and you're not lost anywhere in there, you're absolutely there, comes in, and so you're in charge. So does that make sense? So if the linear being who's going on this mission is not listening or not answering the call or the mic's not on or whatever, however you're going to say that, okay, because they haven't gone to an expansion point themselves yet, then the linear aspect of them is in charge of the linear aspect of them. And since you're eternal, you will get to the expansion point where the mic is on, to use that euphemism, and you can hear and you go, right? It just may not be this planet now on this mission. Does that make sense?
Right.
So,
yeah.
So when you do the pre-op prep, right? To use this example, and you go, okay, we're going to do this, and you get the nudge, and there can be they're different things that seemingly are not related. If we're saying that, this is a 20-mile op and we got to do this, this, and that, the nudge may seemingly not be related to that, but that the mic is always on, and there's feedback, and when I went on this, I found this and that, and I want to get different shoes, or I'm just playing here now, right? I want to do this and that, the other thing. Great. Okay, let's do this. Let's reevaluate. Okay, this is good. That's great. Let's do more painting. Let's do, maybe more working on integration, right? So all this conversation is going on. And as you go on these different pre-op testing runs and there's keeping feedback, again, because this is not held from a linear perspective, the consensus is, ready, remembering. So holding, right? Remembering. and going, okay, great, where go, right? Because there's more of it. So when sometimes beings hold that, well, they get it, but I don't, so something's missing, we're actually taking a step backwards. We're not even, if we had a satchel that we were putting on to go do this pre-op thing, we're not even picking up the satchel because I'm missing something, or I'm comparing, or those kinds of things, is a linear thinking ego mind brain with a closed heart because it's feeling small, and oh, look at that, relates to, what was the title? The woe is me meme, kind of thing. And so your team says, okay, cool. Well, they're working on it, and we're working on it. The linear is working on it, and we're moving through, and there's nothing but support. There's nothing but communication, and that's where you'll get more nudges that would be seemingly more oblique, just little stuff like turn right here. No, I don't want to stop, I want to go. And then you're getting empirical data and you're in a traffic jam, at the concert.
Right.
And then sometimes it's turn right here, and you go, and then you go, turn right here. And you pull a U-turn, which I have done, and I'm going to turn right here. Well, you're now going left, but, And so then they're like, all right, okay, mic's on, and right? So this is how it is, because there is the non-interference clause within us, from us to us. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So that's why I hold these as creation nudges. Not that you're not creating with other nudges, right? But this is because it relates, and I say specifically, which is kind of laughingly because it's so big and all-encompassing, but relates to your missions, your roles, and your soul purpose in these moments of now. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. It's not that I was hesitating. I was feeling into something because well, I think I shared with the two of you once before that I've come to realize that yes, part of my the way there's I do get that there's a specific reason that I set it up the way I have. I get that. And I also get that there's I think I shared with you guys there's a reason I don't know things specifically because I would tell because I tell everything I know. So that's part of it. I know that's true because there's parts that, I just am not supposed to know until specific times or whatever. But the other part of it too, I think, is that, there's, or at least that feels like to me. That's part of it.
Look at it this way for a minute. So part of your mission and part of the role that you're doing in that, and this is just a part, right? There's many, or you could hold it, you have different missions, right? But so part of your mission is to show and tell, isn't it?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, and I do
so
feel
then
that's
it would make sense not to do it till, right, so that you can show and tell.
Yeah. Nope, you're right. Absolutely. Yep. I mean,
because you're that good.
Well, every single thing, that's just it. Every single thing. And in having this having this forum, I guess, or in this format, whatever I've set up for myself with the two of you, with Lisa first, and now you joining in, and everyone else that's joining in on these envelopes. Having the, looking back over things, I can clearly see that's in other words, it's not deny. I cannot deny that this is my mission, so to speak. There's no way, there's no way around that. That's what the whole thing was for. So, and just knowing that, is, and voicing
part of one of the missions. And you could also look at it as training for some of your other missions.
Yes, I've actually said that too. I don't know what they are either, but like many that have been in my field over the past 2 years, my hand has gone up and I said I'm all in, and I meant it.
Yeah.
And so, no, I don't know what. So just to be clear to all that are participating, no, I don't have much of a clue of what my missions are. But I'm enjoying the one I'm on at the moment. So I'm all in for the rest of it because, it's just too fabulous for words.
And that's the intention behind this conversation. So that's why this conversation is formulating and materialating creation nudges that are bubbling up. So that's kind of how you get to more of the noticing and playing with and doing, because they are bubbling up, and they're bubbling up a lot. And if you look at a pot of water that's starting to boil, the bubbles, but when they first start boiling, before it gets to a rolling boil or a full boil, however you want to describe it, they're just little tiny bubbles, right? You look at first, it's still water, and you're going, okay, is the pot going to boil? And then you look and you see little tiny bubbles are on the, this inner surface of the pot. And then the molecules get excited. And are we seeing any correlation here? So the molecules get excited, and they're now formulating, right, into larger molecules until you have this full rolling boil, and your multidimensionality is bursting out all over the place, and all those creation nudges are coming to fruition. And guess what? Since you're that good, you're creating more and more and more, right? So, go boil a pot of water and actually watch it. Notice how it has. And at first you're going, well, there's something wrong with my pot because I don't have any bubbles. And, BC just talked about a pot that had all these bubbles. Well, there's something wrong with my pot. No, there's nothing wrong with your pot.
No.
So again, that's how, that's how these different things are all training things, because right in that moment you can see, yes, it's not working. There's something wrong with my pot. And then you notice, and the shift is from just the quote unquote still water and nothing happening to just tiny, wait a minute, I think that was a bubble. You know what I mean? Because it's tiny, right? And then you go, well, that's not one, there's 20. No, there's 100. No, there must be 4, right? So in noticing, and you're playing with it, there is an awful lot that you can gain as a metaphor and actually a direct experience of knowing, because then you go for a walk, or go sit with your feet in the grass, or meditate, however you do it, right? So there's a soft focus. Now you're the container, you're the pot, you're all those molecules that are getting excited, you're all those frequencies in there. I think there's one bubbling up there. Oh, okay, right? And so what are then in that moment the nudges, or little sparks of inspiration that are coming in there, and they're all starting to pop up. And one of the things that I do with this when I'm recording those nudges, is because, yes, I have a job. Like, most people say, well, I got a job. Well, okay, me too. Unfortunately, or fortunately. I actually have many jobs, and
I was about to say you have more than one.
but so I can then capture those bubbles and say, okay, do this, 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 and then I actually hope follow through on those. But I can, so I can do many things and follow through on all those different things, pretty much all simultaneously. Because however you do it, once you capture that creation nudge, so that's now you're actually, one way you could say it is that for me, when a creation nudge comes up, and I take this and I hit, the button and it starts to record, and then I hit one other button and it's done. And the last button is it says send. So it's one for record, click record, and whatever the nudge is, I give voice to it. So I am what I give voice to, right? We've talked about a long time ago, right. Matters. Why does it matter what I give voice to? Because it's bringing into matter. Okay. Right. So this is part of the formulating and look at that word again. Materialating of the stuff, right? Okay. Now, when I hit stop, done, I think it is, and then I hit send, it automatically sends it to my email box. So it's not just on my phone, and of course I forgot all about it. It's in my inbox. Oh, okay, so that's a reminder. So what I'm saying is this is a way in the whole process, and this is my process, which everybody can do, or they have their own, right? Or combination of theirs. That's all part of that formulating. Now, in that process of formulating, it begets more clarity, more sparks, which are then attaching to another spark, and that kind of spark is growing for ignition on maybe the right gear you need, not because it's the right gear for you that you want, right? Not the right gear, like you got to have the right shoes. So the right gear, or maybe there's some things you want to do a little training on here, or right. And by doing like what I do with this, there's sometimes where things will come in and they beget more of that. So when I get to my email, there may be 15, that come in. And sometimes I listen through all, starting with the earliest one that came in, because that was my progression. And sometimes I just know, no, I can take out these 3 because I know where with all that formulating and materialating came in. I know there was I had materialated on different levels. Right. And that percolated. And so now I can clear the decks on those. If there's 15, I can clear the first 5 because I jumped to, it's solidified in some level, right? Then I listen to that one and it's, okay, great. And then I follow through on it. And that's my follow through. And every moment that I do that, it's a recommitment.
Right.
And now, every moment that you do that, it gets, again, it's that proving, and, you're still choosing that this is what you're committed to.
I did hear a question out there, and would you name the app that you use, please, ma'am?
Oh, yeah. It's called Audio Memos.
Audio Memos.
Yeah, and I actually have 2 on the phone. One is a free one, which works great and does a whole lot of things. I actually use the paid one, and I think it's $1.99, so it's not.
Right, I gotcha.
Super prohibitive. Right. And it's not a subscription, it's $1.99.
Right, I gotcha. Okay.
And the update, but I use that one simply because I can I can pause midstream in that. I can do different things and play with it. So since I use it as a tool,
Right. I gotcha.
But the free one works great.
Okay.
And you can just set it up where you hit record, you know, so like I do it driving. When I get in the car, it's flipped on the phone. Even if the phone goes to sleep, when I tell the phone to wake up, that screen is open. So I don't have to look at the phone. I know the big button hits record and I start talking. And then up in the left-hand corner, it says done, which means it stops. And then automatically, without me doing anything, the next, because it's already set up, the next screen is all ready to send it to my email address. And I just hit that corner again and it's sent.
All right. Well, I know that you had shared that with me before off camera. And when you mentioned that, I felt like, you know, there's going to be at least one person that is asking that question. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And so, like I said, this is a, I'm really glad that we're doing this, because this is a really exciting, it's a really exciting thing to play with. And even more and more exciting than that is that we're in the moments where it's the time to really play with it. That's what's really exciting for me.
Well, I have to tell you that I absolutely adore the metaphor that you've chosen with the bubbles and the excitement of the molecules, because for me, the excitement is the name of the game right now. I mean, it just,
it's following that excitement. Yeah, so I like that too. That was great. You did an awesome job.
Yeah. The excitement level feels off the chart to me. And just overall joy of that excitement even. And so that was, I loved that metaphor that you used for that. And yes, I feel the same, that the following through on any of those creational nudges, and I love the formulating and materialating too. I mean, I'm seeing evidence in my own life of exactly what you're saying here. I mean, we've had instances within this house where, you know, I mean, we're happy and having a great time over here, but we're still, you know, it's not like we found that magical pile of money somewhere around the corner. But I have to tell you that every single thing that has been needed or desired has materialated right in front of our eyes. I mean, sometimes within 5 minutes, you know, to have, you know, one plan go, well, here, it didn't stop us. Here we go, you know. Right. And so I feel like that's the same energetic that you're talking about.
It is. It absolutely is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're all related, and this particular conversation is just the leading edge. So on the one hand, you could say it's the bleeding edge, because you're bleeding over fully out of linear, like that's way back there in the dust, right? And into your next big quantum jumps. And it's the leading edge once you realize that you're firmly standing, you know, in there, and beholding all of that and holding everything, because that's how you can get here, is by you, because you're holding everything with an open, you're not, you know, exactly. Trying to chase that nudge down and come here, wait.
Okay, so I actually resemble that remark a little bit. So that is a real thing. I think that's why I've been, because I'm not just, when I say hold your hands open, folks, I'm not telling you. Just so we're clear. I'm telling me. Remember, hold your hands open.
And so this is the same thing. I mean, this is it. You could look at this part of the big conversation, right, as a metaphor for holding your hands open. Because if you're noticing the bubbles, if you're formulating, the different parts of this particular, it could be a tiny sliver of a particular emission of, and then you're materialating that, right? So that's where all that percolating is coming up. And that in itself is a really good tool for how to notice the nudges, for how to have that proving phase going on, for that, how to say what, the linear part of you is going, yeah, I'm all in. And currently, because I feel that I haven't expanded enough yet, or done it long enough yet, or, and again, it's not linear time frame. But I'm in that proving. And so that's all part of that bubbling up. Go back in the pot. And if you think of the different bubbles that are in there as you watch, maybe in the small, maybe they're about this big, so small stage, and play with those as different sparks of inspiration, or, wait a minute, that looks like a nudge I had a couple days ago and I didn't do anything with it. In fact, I barely even noticed it was right. So those kinds of things, and you realize that they're all working together. They're all working in concert to what we want to do is bring this all to a full rolling boil. So our multidimensionality can just, overflow.
Well, and in that for me, okay, because now I don't reside full time in the linear anymore. That's for certain. So for me, what I've noticed recently is that it's important for me to follow all of them, even if they don't make sense. We've talked about that before. And because it will work itself out as far as all of that's concerned. And even if it doesn't seem logical, because that's the big one for me.
Especially.
It's linear.
Lisa, I can't hear a word you just said.
She said, hang on, I'm going to play with this for a minute. She said, especially if it's not logical, because then you're all coming from just linear.
Right.
Pretty close to what you said? Yeah, okay. Now get your mic to wake up and you say it.
I can't believe you can't hear me.
Well, now I can. But when you first started, I couldn't. But yeah, so the logical one is the really hard one for me. But at the same time, I recognize now how important it is. Over the, I was already having the feelings that they are important, but over even just the last week here, and it wasn't even my nudges, by the way, that drove this home. It was other beings in my field following their nudges and watching all of that ensued, that triggered other beings into different things and how important they were for these other beings. So my being able to, because it didn't start off from a logical standpoint, you see. Right. And so now that used to be the hardest one, I think, for me. But after all that I've now experienced, and especially, like I said, in just this last little bit here, it's very clear that that is that, and the noticing for me, that noticing and holding things in an open forum always, and just allowing all of that is just like the most important part.
Yeah, the trusting and allowing for me were the two basics, really. Because once I got onto that track, then it was so self-evident that there is a something, that a part of me that knows exactly what's happening. And if I can trust that something, the nudge or whatever you want to call it, that part of me that is bubbling forth with this excited energy, then I'm always in perfect alignment. I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm working towards something. And I may not understand it now, but I know I don't really need to. I just need to stay with the nudge, follow the bubble of excitement, and trust that even if I don't understand it today, I will. And I will be very grateful when I'm able to look back on it and go, wow, did that ever turn out so incredible? I could not have planned any of that if I tried. Versus the one where I was like, oh, if only I had listened, this whole thing would have never happened.
Right.
And I've done both. So it's more fun to follow the excitement.
What just came to mind, actually to picture when you were talking about that, Lisa, is yeah, I don't know why, but follow it, or it doesn't logical, but look at, and then I would say then, well, okay, it isn't logical, but what is it allowing you to behold? What are you seeing? And go back to the pot metaphor. So you could look at it fairly innocuous. It's this cylindrical thing with a handly thing on it, and you put some liquidy stuff in there. It's called water, and you turn some flame on it. And it didn't seem logical that you could then have this dish that's round like this, is about this tall, and you got a fork and a spoon, and all of a sudden you have, this amazing meal that you're eating that has all these rich, complex textures and fragrance and colors and stuff. And the end result, that you follow through, whether you're watching someone do this or you did it yourself, right? So here we have two examples. So Sheila, right, didn't get the nudge, but she watched the nudges. So she watched the person being who was putting the stuff in the pot and was doing this because there's this magic that's going on, culinary magic going on, and it's in the thing. And she could see how cool and it had ramifications. It had cool excitement. It had all sorts of gifts, right? And Lisa was talking about the other one where she kept following through. She doesn't know. So in this metaphor, they both ended up with these amazing dishes to eat. And because they're in that, there was conversation. There was connection with all of that. So that's another,
and fun and enjoyment along every step of the way.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I want to say this because it was this did come in while Lisa was speaking. So there's at least one being that will hear this at some point and will say, well, yeah, but so I got a nudge to run off and do this and such, and then all the reasons start. I can't do that. I don't have the money. I got to work. I got to do this. I got to whatever. And I feel you and I hear you. And I have to say that I was you. not that long ago. Not that long ago. But what I have noticed in that following of those nudges, regardless of what I thought they were, and moving forward just feeling supported and knowing. Now, for me, this is the biggest difference right here. Knowing that whatever, because see that puts one into a fear mode immediately, and that interrupts, cuts it right off at the knees, so to speak, the creative process, the creational process, just cuts it right off at the knees. Says, nope, okay, well, forget that. That's not going to happen now. Not in the way you wanted. So, but if what you think is fearful, then sure, we can produce that because we are that powerful.
Right.
So,
because part of that, when you have that exchange that this being is talking about, is the proofing.
Right.
So is this, is the mic on? Oh yeah, the mic's got a filter on it that's, that's the fear filter. It's the small filter. It's the heart is closed filter. It's the ego mind is controlling things and not the heart. And so those are all choice points. And
yes,
and you make those, you notice those as choice points in various different ways, and it's all unique to each being. And so if this being now has brought this, you hear programs are sponsored by, well, this being has brought this program, this conversation, this energetic envelope to themselves, and then took it a step further and was nudged to give voice to, on their end, a question, which now is then, because that question, so that was following a nudge, right? And hey, you know what? No money involved. In fact, you didn't even have to be physically standing anywhere near Sheila or the rest of us. Wow. Talk about excited molecules,
No, exactly correct.
And because you are multidimensional, right? There's other layers to it. So in that, you're giving, you are following through on one of your creation nudges of transmitting of a role to maybe open doors or shed some light on different things, because by being nudged, following the nudge, giving voice to that, it now comes into this is why they're energetic envelopes. They don't start here, okay, this right. So, but in doing that, then that has expanded the conversation. Number one, it has gifted to other beings who are looking at it and feeling into it, and so it's pretty damned egotistical and pretty damn conceited to think about choosing one thing or another and to blow it off when, one, we already agreed to do it, two, it's an amazing gift that we can give ourselves and every other being and all of all. And isn't that kind of what we're sitting in our small space? Oh, I'm fearful, or I got a job, or you don't understand, or whatever it is, wishing that all these other people would get off of it and stop doing this to me, because I really want to have a fun life. I really want to have abundance. I really want to have these things. And yet you're the one in this particular instance, because it fits right in, because I've done it. We've all done it, right? That's part of the trajectory. It's okay. We're right with the program, So
yeah.
In doing this, then, we're stopping us from doing what we want. And all we have to do is be who we really are, which sometimes can seem incredibly, excruciatingly difficult and a monumental task.
Yeah.
Only as much as that we're up here and not down in here.
Yeah, that's another one. That's another one that has had been very confusing, but I really, so that's interesting. But it's not anymore. Yeah. I really don't know why I come into these things not expecting not to be amazed, all to just be amazed at the end of it, all over again. How much I just love this, and I love y'all.
You're so funny. Sometimes when we're off camera, we're talking about things, part of me goes, well, yeah, that'll be exciting. We should talk about that, and then some of the things, you may not voice it, but it's like, okay, whatever. And then sometimes we'll do the okay, whatever. She's like, whoa, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, it's usually those topics, I think.
Well, they're all just so delicious in my mind, and
Mine too.
Well, like in the wasn't it the last one when let's see if I get the hand. So this hand, Lisa goes, yeah, there's this thing, with my head, right? And then I said, well, yeah, we played with that, and it's like, wow, I didn't see that coming.
No.
But
all right, well,
that's how we do this. So that's,
yes,
this is just a little bit into starting to play with those creation nudges, because we're here and we're needed and we're wanted, and we agreed, and
we are doing this now.
we are doing this now. Show started.
yes, it has, and I don't know. There's something like dancing right around the edge that feels like it wants to come out, but it's just not. So I'm just gonna have to let that go, I suppose, or somebody needs to speak louder. Because as it is getting a little, early over here now.
Early for you, yeah. Late, really late for me, but early for you.
Well, I am so appreciative of all of our time together this evening, ladies, and I was wondering if there was anything further you'd like to add to this one. No? Okay. Everybody's good. All righty then. I don't suppose, let's see, Nope.
Thanks for trying.
Yeah, well, thanks for playing. Just speak up next time. And if I didn't get you, and it was you, feel free to email me.
Right.
That's been happening. I find that very interesting. So that's pretty cool. So we will have all the usual things in all the usual places, and I will even include the name of the app, which was Audio Memos, in the Show More section. And I'm also going to, I also felt led to include something else in this. At the very beginning when you were speaking, BZ, and you were talking about the things that we had agreed to do when we came in. A lot of folks, myself included, because of the things I've kept from myself on purpose. I'm going to include a link to the Starseed contract that I recorded. I don't, I regardless of how or what that is, it felt smack on to me. And for some reason it came back into my consciousness when you were speaking. So the nudge is there that I will either link it so that it'll be the next video to choose after this, or it will just be a link in the Show More section, one or the other, possibly even both. So just to...
And that's an example right there of a nudge that came in.
Right? Yes, it came in. I wrote it down. And
bubbles in the pot. And okay.
That's right.
So, okay, I take that back. I do have one little thing to add.
Okay.
And sometimes, if beings are, engaged with others and looking at something, and dare I say, comparing to others. And they see, you know, that there's, wow, that was a big nudge that person just went and pertained. Holy smoke. So on the one hand, it's actually more comfortable to say, I got nothing. There's no nudges here, nada, right? Because what we're really saying is, holy shit, I don't think I'm ready for a nudge like that, right? And that's why there's a process of that. That's why there is that proofing. That's why there is that, you know, I'm committed and all that kind of stuff. Because well, we did a really good job of going through the trajectory away and, you know, all the layers of stuff. And so we, you know, we got to take those layers of things off, and so we can see clearly again. So.
Well, too, and the other thing that I'd like to add to what you just said is that, again, because of what I've seen in my own trajectory, don't discount it, because for a long time, I didn't hold some of the things I was getting as nudges either. Oh, I just thought, you know, because I've got this chatterbox in my head, you know, that maybe that was part of that, you know. Again, a bit of selling myself short too, you know, which is something we've all been programmed and conditioned into doing.
Hey, Sheila, is this mic on? I don't know. I mean, you know, so Big Sheila's going, I don't think I got a defective mic here, man. It's not working.
Well, that's why I had to throw it in, because, you know, I've been there. I done it. So I know it's a possibility for you to have nudges and think they're not nudges. So, you know, I had to share that, because it's a very real thing, you know, and
go play with watching a pot of water come to boil.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you'll look at it from a totally new perspective after this conversation, and you'll realize how it shifts and changes, and you will feel corresponding, because it's in the title, right? These creation nudges are bubbling up inside you, and sometimes they start just that tiny, barely noticeable little sphere. Go boil some water. It's really cool.
Like I said, I love that metaphor, because the excitement is real, and so awesome. Thank you, ladies. All right. Till next time. Thanks, guys. Mwah.